What's up, my little peeps, my little people? Beep, 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 beep. All right, this is the story of Daedalus and Icarus. And in this lesson, I think this is lesson 6, you're going to hear about Daedalus. Daedalus was in the last story. He was the great inventor and scientist who invented the labyrinth that Theseus had to escape. And if you remember, he helped Princess Ariadne give Theseus a way to escape from the maze. He's an amazing scientist, an amazing inventor, and a fictional character. Of course, these are all myths. And then in the picture here, you see his son, Icarus. And Icarus has wings there in that picture. Pretty cool. And your learning target for this story is to retell key facts and details from the read aloud. You have to be able to retell the story. Otherwise, what's the point in listening to it? Here's your vocabulary words. The first vocabulary word is currents. Currents are strong flows of air or water moving in a certain direction. That is a current, a strong flow of air or water moving in a certain direction. For example, the ocean currents carried Max's sailboat closer to the shore. Desperately. The word desperately means frantically or wildly with a sense of panic and need. Kim looked desperately for her socks but could not find them before the big soccer match. The next word is plummeted. Plummeted's a verb, and it means to fall straight down. During the earthquakes, the plates and cabinets plummeted to the floor. And you can see a picture of some skydivers plummeting to the ground. All right, next word is proof. Proof means evidence that something is true. Jane had all the proof that she needed when she caught her brother sneaking cookies before dinner. Alrighty, here's your next one. And your last one. Your last word is sill. A sill is a horizontal piece below a window or door. For example, Antonio grew wonderful cooking herbs in pots on his windowsill. All right, here we go. Let's hear the story of Daedalus. And as always, I'm going to shrink. I'm shrinking. I'm shrinking. No. No. Boop, boop. Come on, Mr. Daedalus. This is the story of a very brilliant man, a genius, whose name was Daedalus. He was able to look at a problem and think until an answer came to him. Once, however, Daedalus faced a challenge that he wished that he did not solve. King Minos of Crete was upset with Daedalus for helping the young hero Theseus defeat the Minotaur and escape from Crete with Minos' daughter, Princess Ariadne. The king had no proof that Daedalus had helped them, but he believed that only Daedalus was smart enough to have done it. Since he had also created the labyrinth, so King Minos announced, Daedalus, you helped them escape, so now I will lock you up in turn. Since there were two of you responsible for their escape, one of whom was my own daughter, you shall share your imprisonment with your son, Icarus. The king was too smart for Daedalus, and in an ordinary cell, however, he feared that the genius might escape. Boop. So, he commanded the guards to lock up Daedalus and Icarus in a great stone tower that overlooks the ocean. There was only one window at the top of the tower and one door. which we will lock. Even if they escape through the window, there is nothing below but sharp rocks and the raging ocean tides." So the father and son were locked away. Twice a day, the soldiers came and unlocked the door to deliver food or take away the dishes. On one of those occasions, Daedalus sent a message by the soldiers to King Minos. "If we must live out our lives here, at least give us some books to read and candles by which to read them after dark." Minos saw no harm in that and agreed, but he should have known better, for Daedalus had a plan. He and Icarus would set breadcrumbs on the sill of the tower's high window to attract birds. Over a period of months, the birds lost their fear of Daedalus and his son and would allow the men to pick them up. The father and son began to pluck the feathers of their wings, though not so many that they would hurt the birds or keep them from flying. He and Icarus hid the feathers under their beds, along with some wax from each candle the soldiers supplied, until after several years, Daedalus told his son, "Now we have what we need in order to escape." Daedalus began to unravel threads from the blankets in their tower room. Using the flames of the candles for heat, he melted the shape and shaped the wax that they had saved, inserted into it the feathers that they had hidden, and tied it all with thread. Icarus's eyes lit up. "You're making us wings!" Daedalus smiled. "If we cannot walk from our prison, we will fly. Come, hold the candle closer to soften this wax so that I can bend it." It took several days to finish the work, until one morning, 2 sets of wings were ready. Daedalus had studied the movements of the birds and knew where the currents of air blew near their seaside tower. He carefully taught Icarus that he knew what he knew, adding, "We will land at the harbor over there. Remove our wings and sail away in one of the boats anchored there. By the time King Minos knows that we're gone, we will be far from Crete. However, my son, follow me as I ride the winds safely down. If we are not careful and fly too high, the sun's heat could melt the wax from our wings and plunge us down into the sea. Our friends the birds need not fear this, but we are only borrowing their skills." "I understand, father," replied Icarus. They strapped on their wings and waited as the sun began to rise over the sea. Below their tower were dangerous rocks and crushing waves. Daedalus worried that they might not make it. He thought over every detail and then told his son, "It's time to regain our freedom. Come." Stepping out into the window, he drew a deep breath and leapt outward his wings worked. The air lifted him and held him. Looking back over his shoulder, he saw his son leap from the tower. Icarus laughed out loud at sheer joy of flying. Lifting and dipping the tips of his wings, he turned and swirled, delighted in the wonder of it all. Forgotten in the moment was his father's warning. As Daedalus glided gracefully down toward the harbor, Icarus thought, "I wonder if I can make this kind of curve or that." He rode the winds higher and farther out over the water. Daedalus looked back for him, but Icarus was not following behind. His eyes wide with fear, Daedalus called, "Icarus! Icarus, come down!" The boy shouted, "Look, father!" and he continued his tricks in the air. All of a sudden, he saw his feather loosen and drop from one of his wings. He realized that he had flown too high. The growing heat from the morning sun was melting the wax. Desperately, Icarus tried to turn and follow his father's path, but the warming air currents carried him higher. The feathers began dropping from his wings, first one at a time and then in clumps. "Father, help! Father!" But Daedalus could not turn and rise fast enough to help. He could only watch. Too many feathers had fallen out, and the wings could no longer support Icarus. He plummeted down, down, down into the sea. Daedalus, weeping, reached the harbor and took a boat and sailed off to safety. Well, that's our story for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to hearing from all of you and hearing what you think of the story. Until next time, see you later.